Hello, my name is Wallace, and in this video I will talk about challenge-based learning, also known as CBL. Does it sound a little bit unexpected? Don't worry. Follow the video, don't skip any part, and in the end of it, you will be happy to have known a different way to learn by yourself. Okay? So come with me. But what is CBL? CBL is an educational framework designed to help you learn by means of meaningful inquiries and also practice. So let's go step by this definition. First of all, we said it's an educational framework. What is a framework? A framework is a basic structure that supports something. In that case, CBL is this basic structure that supports your learning process. But is it a method? No, we say a framework and not a method because a method has a very rigid procedure that you have to follow. CBL, on the other hand, is iterative. You may have to repeat the phase engage and the phase investigate a few times before you go to the action. So it's not as rigid as a method, but it does provide you guidelines and instruction on how to ask yourself the meaningful questions that will shape and guide your learning process. Among many important things we could mention about CBL, I would like to highlight two things. The first one is that CBL is 100% student-centered. This means that the focus is on the learner, the focus is on you. It's a framework that helps you shape in your learning process, not the teacher to define how you're going to learn. That's the first thing. The second thing is that CBL aims to develop autonomy and independence on the learner. How does it do that? Well, first, it gives you a supportive structure, the framework CBL itself. So once you have it, you become able to shape and to design your learning path. Once you are able, CBL makes you also responsible for that. So this means that the teachers will not tell you what to study, what questions you should ask yourself, what material you should learn, what you should do in order to tackle this challenge and to develop your solution. This is something that you will have to figure out yourself. But how does CBL work? How does it help you structure your learning process? Well, it has three phases. The first phase is the engage phase. It starts with a big idea that you explore through essential questioning. Well, essential question is a special kind of question that you will learn to ask yourself as you use CBL to shape your learning process. So after defining the big idea and asking yourself the essential questions, you come up with a concrete and actionable challenge. This concrete and actionable challenge is what will drive your whole learning process. So all the things that you will learn in the investigate phase, which is the second phase, they will equip you with the knowledge and skills that you need to use in the third phase, which is the act phase. And you will use this knowledge and skills to develop a solution to the challenge you propose in the first phase. The goal of the first phase, besides defining the challenge, is to get you engaged. So if you or one of your colleagues is not yet engaged in the challenge, even though you have the most perfect questions, the most perfect sentence for the challenge, I'm sorry to say, but you're not ready to pass to the second phase. Because if you're not engaged, you're not going to learn as much as you would if you were engaged. It's very important that you, especially when you are using CBL to learn in group, that you negotiate, that you achieve consensus, so that everyone in the group feels engaged. Everyone in the group is having their expectations at least partially met, so that you can achieve consensus. Once you are sure that you have a concrete and actionable challenge and that you are all engaged in your group, you move to the second phase, the investigate phase. In the investigate phase, you ask a different kind of question. While the first question is not meant to make you do anything, but just to reflect, just to explore the problem space. In the investigate phase, we make a different of question that we call guiding questions. Those are actionable questions, questions that you have to answer through guiding activities. So let's suppose you need to learn a certain programming language in order to develop the solution for your challenge. So one question is, how do I develop programs with language A? And then everything that you have to learn to tackle the challenge must be addressed in the investigate phase through guiding questions and guiding activities. In the process of asking yourself those questions and working on the guiding activities that will bring the answer to the questions, you might need what we call guiding resources. Books, an expert teacher, other colleagues. A guiding resource is any resource that will help you in your guiding activities that, on the other hand, will help you answer the questions you asked yourself with the guiding questions. So it's just a set of questions and activities that drive your learning in the investigate phase. And the investigate phase has the goal of equipping you with the knowledge and the skills necessary for the development of the solution that you will start developing in the act phase, the third phase of the CBL. So the third phase and the final phase of CBL aims to develop a solution that's evidence-based. That's why you need to eventually come back to the investigate phase and the act in an iterative way. Because it might be that in the moment that you are developing your solution, you realize you didn't understand enough, or there's something else that you have to understand. So it's very common that you keep cycling through investigate and act phase. It's less common that you come back to redefine your challenge, but moving from act to investigate and investigate to act is actually very common. So if you are developing your solution and you feel a little bit lost, it's because you have to come back to the investigate phase, ask yourself the questions you have to answer in order to equip yourself to come back to the act phase and develop that part of the solution that you didn't know how to develop. So, in a nutshell, this is what CBL is. Now, I invite you to continue to watch the other videos of this series to understand in depth how the engage phase works, how the investigate phase works, and finally how the act phase works. See you soon.